But the world, you see, like, is a vast place.
You know, the continent, we've been able to do some dope stuff. You know?
Dans le rap africain, bien sûr, surtout.
There's the movement of hip-hop, R&B music, house music, all that coming out of not only South Africa, but the continent in general is just amazing right now.
I was surprised how big this scene is in Africa. When I did a tour over there, and the DJ before me played so many hip-hop records and so many Afrobeats, both that I never heard before, but had the club rocking. That is such a huge scene.
C'est le hip-hop en tant que culture ou en tant que musique, si on parle du rap, dans une certaine partie du monde, aux États-Unis peut-être, les gens samplaient du funk, enfin de la musique de chez eux, si tu veux. Nous, on a fait pareil avec les ingrédients de chez nous.
Regardless where you from, you know, it's where you at.
Comfortably sitting on my sofa, smoking, floating on this fan air, reflecting on the storm. So far, I'm so far from where I come from, so far from it home. Originated in the 70s in South Bronx of New York City, hip-hop is a cultural movement that includes graffiti, breakdancing, DJing, and of course hip-hop music, rap. The genre was born in response to the socio-economic struggles faced by inner-city youth and drew on a blend of funk, soul, disco music, and later on jazz. Rap, an acronym for rhythm and poetry, started more humbly as MCing, with MCs initially serving as hype men during parties and social gatherings. Over time, they began to develop lyrical raps that reflected the experiences and struggles of their neighborhood communities. Early on, hip-hop was often a form of storytelling, with themes of resilience, self-expression, and social commentary, making it stand out as a rebellious form of expression. The genre grew rapidly in the late 70s and early 80s, with the rise in popularity from the likes of Sugar Hill Gang in the late 70s and Run DMC in the mid-80s, helping the genre cross over into mainstream success in the US. As hip-hop music evolved, it incorporated diverse influences and spawned subgenres like gangsta rap, conscious rap, later on trap, and many more, becoming one of the most influential musical movements worldwide. The Golden Age, or Golden Era, is a name given to a period in mainstream hip-hop produced between the mid-80s and the mid to late 90s, which is characterized by its diversity, quality, innovation, and influence. By blending in with other genres while keeping its core, hip-hop gained popularity within the masses during that time. And around the same time, other artists like LL Cool J and Public Enemy began to gain mainstream attention, solidifying hip-hop as a commercially viable genre. By the late 80s and early 90s, hip-hop's popularity had skyrocketed thanks to the advent of cable television and the rise of platforms like MTV, which began airing hip-hop videos. The genre continued to evolve, with subgenres like gangsta rap and alternative hip-hop emerging. By the mid-90s, hip-hop had become a dominant force in global music culture, influencing not only music, but also fashion, language, and broader cultural trends. Hip-hop began to spread outside of the United States in the early 80s, initially reaching countries in Europe, Africa, and the Caribbean, down across the rest of the world. The genre's global expansion was fueled by the rise of hip-hop's visibility in American media and the predominance of American media in these regions at the time. With channels like MTV and the first international tours of hip-hop dominant faces like Run DMC and the Sugar Hill Gang, the genre grew at a fast pace outside of its borders. In the early 80s, hip-hop made its first major international impact in Europe, particularly in countries like France, Germany, and then the UK, whose influence on the European continent helped spread it further thanks to the black communities in those countries who could relate to that movement. At the same time, and for similar reasons, the hip-hop movement started to gain footing in the motherland, Africa. The emergence of hip-hop in Africa can be traced back to the early 80s, when the genre began to filter into the continent through global media and cultural exchanges. American hip-hop reached African audiences via the spread of radio, television, and cassette tapes, especially in countries with strong cultural ties to the US, such as Senegal, Nigeria, South Africa, and around the same time in other Francophone countries as the genre's influence increased in countries like France. African artists then began to blend traditional rhythms with hip-hop, creating unique regional styles. Overall, the first traces of hip-hop in Africa came through a process of cultural exchange, foreign influences, adaptation, and relatability in terms of rhythm and style, as young African artists and communities shaped the genre to reflect their own experiences and struggles, setting the stage for the vibrant and diverse African hip-hop scenes that would emerge in the following years.
Comfortably sitting on my sofa, smoking, floating on this fine air, reflecting on the storm. So far, I'm so far from where I come from, so far from it all.